The sea ice retreats every summer. But in 2007, so much disappeared that for the first time ever, large vessels could navigate through the Northwest Passage. If this rate of contraction were to continue, there would be no summer sea ice in the Arctic by 2020.
If we lose all of the sea ice, and it doesn't reform, which is a possibility, you lose it at the end of the summer, and maybe so much solar energy has been absorbed by that water that the sea ice never reforms, then you're going to have major and essentially permanent changes in the climate in the Northern Hemisphere.
The sea ice in her Arctic home has declined because, while temperatures in the rest of the world have risen by nearly 1 degree Celsius, here they have risen by 3 degrees.
We see a bigger response, more warming in the Arctic because of feedbacks, which are amplifying factors. Specifically, it's the albedo of the Earth's surface, which is the reflectivity. The amount of the sunlight that hits the surface and is reflected is larger if you have a white surface covered by snow or ice. So if that melts back, that exposes a darker surface which absorbs more sunlight, and that increases the warming and melts more ice. So you get a bigger change in the Arctic than on the global average.
By the middle of this century, most scientists predict we'll be living in a 2-degree warmer world, unless we do something about it. The worldwide livestock industry is responsible for a staggering share of greenhouse gas emissions, 18%. That's more than what's spewed out by planes, ships, and cars combined. That's because meat and dairy production need more and more land cleared for grazing. And a huge amount of energy is required to produce the animals' feed and transport the meat. The animals themselves are the source of one gas, and that's methane. Over a quarter of the greenhouse gases we produce come from fossil fuels burned to generate electricity. Coal, oil, and natural gas power almost every aspect of our lives, and we show few signs of cutting back. The fastest growth has been in China. It's recently overtaken the U.S. as the world's biggest emitter of greenhouse gases. China builds 2 large coal-fired power stations every month. Dirty coal powers much of the world's economic development and a staggering 41% of worldwide electricity generation. If global temperatures rise 2 degrees Celsius or beyond, coastal cities around the world will find themselves vulnerable like no time before in their histories. In a 2-degree warmer world, the damage would be catastrophic. New York City is far more likely to experience flooding from storm surge. That's because the city is vulnerable to hurricanes. With a 2 degrees Celsius rise, water shortages will affect not only drinking supplies, but agriculture. Dust bowls could replace farmland all over the world. And drought has another devastating consequence. New research reveals that if the world grows even warmer, fire seasons are going to get a lot worse.
There has been a tremendous and dramatic increase in the length of the fire season in the western United States, well over 2 months in duration. So fires are burning much later into the fall and are starting much earlier in the spring.
It's going to be a major problem for places like Australia, Russia, and South Africa. In Europe, the problem will not only be fires, but heat waves and drought. In a 2-degree warmer world, the Sahara Desert would, in effect, move northwards into Spain. Places that are now merely hot will become uninhabitable.